You just got to hear Digby start up and run the day after our Italian tune-up. That's right. We gave this baby an Italian tune-up. I had Jerson drive the car up to Glacier, Washington, about 45 minutes from my hometown. I'm building a log cabin up there. I says, come on up and give me a hand. I want you to bring Digby up and I want you to drive it hard. It's really quite a nice drive. For those of you who have to deal with traffic, just look at some of the scenery here. Jerson was just cruising along. Every once in a while he'd floor it, but hardly any traffic, nice scenic drive. And when he got there, I'm listening to the engine. I can hear it coming down the road. He pulled into the driveway, and I'm listening to Digby and thinking, well, what, 10% improvement? I don't know. But Jerson confirmed that it had lots of power, right up to 70, 80 miles an hour. And once you got going, it wouldn't smoke. It wasn't smoking. You can see here he's cruising down the road. He's checking the rearview mirror. He's got his buddy with him, by the way, but he's checking the rearview mirror here and getting on it hard to make sure there's no black or gray smoke rolling out the back. That was fine. So power, lack of smoke at speed, but it didn't sound that much better at idle when he was at the cabin.
After driving this 200 turbo diesel for 45 minutes in Mount Baker Highway, I gotta check if there's any leak here. No, it's look very clean. I mean, there is no oil, no fuel. Okay, we have some noise in this, like something metal with metal touching, and it's the air conditioning pump right in the back here. The belt is not in place, so it's just a rattle on the engine.
So I had him come on back last night. I said, okay, come on, drive it hard, you know. And he even got to his house and let it run, you know, another hour. He set the idle up a little bit, so it was firing on all 5 cylinders. But when I came out this morning and started it up, I have to say the hope is dwindling, okay? But I'm not giving up yet. I know a lot of you don't want me to give up. I had one person post a comment last night. He says, man, I love your Digby series. It's like Who Shot JR? Now, those of you who've been around in 1980 and saw that, you'll laugh as much as I did. I mean, oh, wow, that must be a compliment. I don't know if you know, though, there were 350 million people worldwide that watched that episode, Who Shot JR? Yeah, thanks. But I don't think this video series is that exciting. But it could be interesting and beneficial for any of you who have these old diesels or who want to get one, you know. I had one guy say, Ken, I think you're flogging a dead horse. Well, that could be true. Remember I said 50-50 here. I don't know. I can't tell you. Am I going to save Digby? Am I not going to? Are we going to heal this baby? Or what about this? What about that? A couple things I want to mention, though. Before we hit the road yesterday, we went through this thing. You know, we changed the pre-filter. That's really important. You don't want junk getting in the pre-filter. Particularly, we're running like 80 to 90% vegetable oil in the fuel tank. I also changed the main fuel filter. I didn't want Jerson to get stuck out on the road with a plug fuel filter. For added benefit, we changed the air filter. Now, the air filter didn't look too bad, but it did have some oil in it. So we put a brand new air filter on it, and then we did another look around the engine. We saw that the wastegate hose was broken. This is a real common problem with these. You need to keep an eye on that, folks, if you have one of these turbo diesels. I would say 80% of the OM 617 turbo diesels I've seen have broken wastegate hoses. That's not a good idea. You will not have any protection against overboosting your engine. And that could be a problem for something like Digby if one of those pistons got overheated, okay? I don't know. I just don't know. Something else we did that's very important, and I want to make sure I mention here. Recall in one of those earlier videos, there's no oil pressure and the line had been disconnected, and I want to address it as you don't do that. You run an engine without any indication of oil pressure, you may be sorry, because that's the only indication you have in these old diesels that you're losing engine oil. And loss of engine oil in one of these engines will destroy it. So what we did is we decided to hook up an oil pressure gauge before we went on the Italian tune-up and see if it did indeed have oil pressure. Now, I didn't have a W123 pressure gauge, so we were able to hook up a W115. It works fine. And during the whole process of hooking up the hose, we found out why they had plugged it. First, I had Jerson go in and pull the dash back and see if the instrument was leaking oil. That's a very common thing in these W123s. The oil pressure gauge will start leaking oil and it'll drip on your feet, so people will disconnect the gauge. Well, that wasn't a problem, but when we pulled that Allen plug that you saw in that early video, the threads had been enlarged, so we were not able to permanently hook up an oil pressure gauge for our trip. But we were pretty confident we had good oil pressure. Once again, you can see it here. It's running between 30 and 45 at very, very low idle. The other thing is, a lot of you have been wondering about that rattle, that cling, 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 cling. Well, it's nothing to be concerned about. Jerson pointed out the problem at the cabin, but it is the pulley for the air conditioning pump. The pump belt has been cut. The pulley's all worn out, and it's just that they're rattling. So it's not something, you know, that you have to be concerned about. It's not internal in the engine. So if I end up driving Digby, I certainly want to fix that noise. So I just wanted to point that out so those of you who are hearing that clink, 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 say, "Cat, that's a terrible noise." And so what's next? What I'm going to do now is there's a few more things I want to do, and I'm going to run the engine a little bit more. If there's no improvement, well, I got to think about what I'm going to do. If there's some improvement, I may not give up hope yet. So stay tuned for the next episode and see if I can't possibly save Digby here.